Thank you, David. It's a showdown of the last two Grey Cup champions of the CFL's 9-3 division leaders as the Owls and Stampeders collide at McMahon Stadium Friday night in the foothills, and it is weather fitting of this kind of matchup. What a glorious autumn evening, 18 degrees. The wind could be a factor, though, as it will move right to left on your screen at 33 clicks an hour.
Last week versus the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, Ben Cahoon needed 5 catches for 1,000. He got exactly 5. He is now 7 catches away from becoming the all-time leader in CFL history.
Mark Trestman's Alouettes won both meetings against Calgary last year en route to the Cup victory here at McMahon. Of course, John Huffnagel's team won both meetings 2 years ago. They have lost 2 consecutive games for only the 3rd time in John Huffnagel's tenure here. He has never lost 3 consecutive games as the coach of the Calgary Stampeders.
Boy, and they lost ugly. I mean, Henry Burris pulled from that game. First time in well over a year that's happened to Henry Burris. They're looking for a big bounce-back game here tonight.
Tim Maypray back in the lineup for the Alouettes. He's dropped deep along with Leroy Van. Stampeders will have the wind in this first quarter as Rob Maver has it on the tee. First of back-to-backs between these 2 high-powered rivals. And away we go as Maypray with the return, and he stopped short of the 30-yard line.
Anthony Calvillo threw for 477 yards last week versus Winnipeg, most as a Montreal Alouette in his career. Now, S.J. Green's going to become more important in this offense in the receiving corps as their 5th receiver, as will Brian Bratton, because the one guy that you don't see there is Kerry Watkins. Andrew Hawkins will come in, but it's Bratton and Green they'll lean on. And I highlighted Scott Flory because he's got to handle Tom Johnson on defense.
Playing in his 199th game for the Montreal Alouettes. AC goes to work and wants to go to Ben Cahoon early, and there is catch number 1001. And he's now 5 away from tying the former Stampeder Terry Vaughn.
There's Tom Johnson, the defensive line for the Calgary Stampeders. Missed last week. 27 tackles for an interior defensive lineman on the season. Speaking of tackles, how about Juwan Simpson? He leads the team with 50. And then when you look in that secondary, Brandon Browner will get a new look with no Kerry Watkins outside.
Starting lineups are brought to you by Rona, proud sponsor of the CFL. Rona doing it right. It's 2nd and 5, and ball dropped by Avon Coburn out of the backfield. A 2-and-out to start for the Alouettes on offense.
Mentioned last year when these 2 teams played, Montreal Alouettes swept those games and got off to such a good start in both of them. And Calvillo not used to 2-and-outs. They average just 5 per game, which is 2nd best in Canadian Football League right now behind Saskatchewan, but a quick 2-and-out for this team.
There's David Duval, 2nd in the league behind only Burke Dales in punting. And he'll be kicking into the wind here. A 1-hopper to Dion Murphy. Trying to bubble it outside and unable to turn the corner. A 38-yard punt into the breeze by Damon Duval. And Henry Burris will try and put last week all of it behind him.
Yeah, I think he will. Season lows in completion percentage, season lows in yardage. Henry Burris had a bad night against the BC Lions and was pulled in that game, but he does have Nick Lewis back in the receiving corps, missed last week versus the BC Lions, and a change on the O-line. Dan Comiskey out, Steve Middleton in at left guard.
Stamp started at their 38-yard line. Fake to Reynolds, and Kenyon Rambo has a catch. And Rambo up to close to the 48. He'll be close to the first down.
Montreal defense ranks 2nd against the run, middle of the pack against the pass. There's their front 4. Now John Bowman is just a couple of sacks in the sack race behind Philip Hunt of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Shea Emery, 37 tackles on the season. Last week, a season-high 7 for Emery in the middle. He'll be up against Joffrey Reynolds, and Billy Parker highlighted him because he leads the league with Brandon Browner in knockdowns.
They get the spot just beyond the 48, so it is a first down for Burris to Rambo. And now Joffrey Reynolds, and Not much there as Reynolds is met by the middle linebacker, Shea Emery. Joffrey, well, slow in the last 2 weeks with just 55 yards in his last 2 starts.
You know, with the starting lineups, Chris, this is exactly why I wanted to highlight Shea Emery, because this is going to be an interesting matchup I want to watch tonight between Joffrey Reynolds and Shea Emery. I really believe the Calgary Stampeders, when they're at their best, they're running the ball well with Joffrey Reynolds, and that puts it right in the hands of that middle linebacker in Emery.
Reynolds second in league rushing. Give him 1, and it's 2nd and 9. And Burris has Robbie Bryant open, and he's got him down the sidelines. Touchdown! Well, I don't book the slip in a hurry. Henry Burris, 61 yards to Robbie Bryant. And the Stamp strike first.
Well, will it ever get your confidence back in a hurry? I mentioned season low in completion percentage for Henry Burris at 42% last week. We'll watch the accuracy on this one as he drops it over the right shoulder of Robbie Bryant, who had the one-on-one on Billy Parker, who had dropped back into that deep zone, but not deep enough.
And that ends a touchdown drought for Bryant. His first in 8 games. Maver puts the extra point through an opening possession touchdown for Henry Burris and the Stamps. Robbie Bryant has his 8th touchdown catch of the year.
Oh, come on.
And the Stamps have the lead as Rob Maver kicks it off. And once again, Tim Maypray. And he'll be tossed down. Ball came loose. Jerron Simpson, the tackle, scramble for the football. There is a flag on the play. The Alouettes get back on it thanks to Leroy Van.
And they marked the ball where the ball came out, so they possibly could be ruling here that Van was down.
No marker, and they do rule that
down by contact.
Originally Maypray was down.
Let's go back and show you that touchdown by Robbie, or excuse me, this fumble as he rips it out here. But was he down by contact?
Tackler is down with the player on top, so they do rule he was down. And Brian Bratton on the end around, coming the corner, and he's knocked out at the 39, a yard short of a first down.
Yeah, now let's go back to that touchdown for Robbie Bryant. He's lined up outside here. I want to show you Billy Parker, who comes down in here, has got to drop to the deep outside third here in the zone defense. And he gets shallow, gets caught watching the inside receiver. I believe it's Nick Lewis. He doesn't get his depth, and because he's in that chase position, Robbie Bryant has got leverage on him to the outside and about a step and a half behind him, and Henry Burris puts it on the money.
25th touchdown pass thrown by Burris on the season. And the Bratton run will require a measurement as the chains come out. And Bud Steen's crew now knows that they're a yard short. So Calvillo on the sidelines, and Adrian McPherson and the short yardage team are on for the Alouettes. Early slides off, and will be stopped short of the 40-yard line, and it looks like it'll be third down.
It looks like they're marking it right on the 40, well, just behind it. So you're right. I think they are going to be short here. Nothing at the point of attack. Adrian McPherson wanted to go right behind Scott Fleury. Got pushed back. I believe it was Clay Brooks. Had to bounce off it, and then Wes Lysak rallied to it.
And it is third down. Have to get beyond that 40-yard line for Mark Trestman's team to stay on the field.
That's why I highlighted Scott Fleury. I wanted to show the pressure on the offensive line, the interior, the two guards in center, Paul Lambert, Andrew Woodruff. Their work cut out for them tonight against Devon Claybrooks and Tom Johnson.
McPherson stays on the field, and so does the Alouette offense. 3rd inches. And a flag down as the battle ensues. And grudgingly, it looked like the Stamps did give up the first down, but we'll sort out the flag.
And Adric McPherson didn't get there on the first surge. He had to keep working at it.
Offside. Calgary, number 77. It's a 5-yard penalty, and it's first down.
That is Tom Johnson. But the Stamps may have sent a message here in this last series about their defense tonight.
Well, Tom Johnson must have put his hand just into that neutral zone, barely, because tough to see the offside there. But again, look at the surge. Adrian McPherson did get it with his second effort. Whether it was a penalty or not.
There's Coburn, Avon Coburn straight ahead. And Coburn close to midfield. The MVP of the Grey Cup game here at McMahon last year.
You know, he was the MVP, and over the last 6 weeks has just not been utilized quite as much by this Montreal offense. Now, last week, Anthony Calvillo attempted 54 passes, a season high, so that's one of the reasons, but he's getting just about 11 carries right in there, and as the weather changes, he may become more and more important in that offense.
8th in rushing in the league, gets 10 there and a first down, right back to Avon Coburn, down to the Calgary 51.
Ben Cahoon has 1 catch in this game in the receiving corps for Montreal. Started with that quick 2-and-out, so they haven't had possession very long, but Cahoon, as we mentioned, coming in 7 catches away from passing Terry Vaughn. So he's now 6 catches away, becoming the all-time leader in receptions. Just amazing when these two careers, Anthony Calvillo, looking at CFL history in about a year, if he can catch Damon Allen at some big numbers, and Ben Cahoon doing the same in the receiving categories, both teammates all this time.
3 on that last rush by Coburn. It's 2nd and 7. And a flag down as Calvillo throws it away. Flag on the far side of the field. And it's offside Alouettes.
Offside. Montreal, number 19. That penalty is declined. It's 3rd down.
S.J. Green, the culprit, and Mark Trestman's team a little slow to the gate offensively.
Uncharacteristic, although this is a Calgary defense that ranks first in, well, almost everything.
You can see.
So Duvall to kick. R.J. Franklin and Dion Murphy are deep. Good boot into the wind. Murphy up to the 10, and you'll get hauled down there by Michael Giffen. Stamps with the lead in the football when we come back. Friday night at McMahon, and on the sidelines, Sarah Orleski.
Chris, the Stampeders offensive line suffered a blow this week with the news that veteran lineman Dan Comiskey suffered a concussion in last week's game against BC and was placed on the 9-game injured list by the team yesterday afternoon. Comiskey is here on the sidelines, and I spoke to him. He said that he's optimistic that there is a little bit of improvement with respect to the concussion symptoms, but he said that he won't even contemplate his future with respect to being able to play at any point throughout the rest of this season until later on. Right now, he's just trying to not be a distraction to the team. The good news is that the team is very confident in the guy that stepped in for him, Steve Middleton, and they're ready for him to take over.
There's a foot race, and Kenyon Rambo is going to be tough to catch. Chicox in pursuit. Touchdown, Kenyon Rambo, and just like that, 2 possessions, 2 touchdowns, and a 100-yard pass play from Henry Burris to Rambo.
Well, Dan Comiskey Comiskey's replacement, Steve Middleton, did okay on that play, although it was a quick throw from Henry Burris. The protection was there from the offensive line. Little play action, 1, 2, 3, and throw, and Kenyon Rambo splits the defense. Again, Billy Parker victimized as he gets the poor angle. Chip Cox can't catch him. Rambo takes off.
Longest reception in Kenyon Rambo's career. The team that was blanked in the first half last week, first time that's happened in 4 years, has scored back-to-back touchdowns against the Montreal Alouettes. Beaters have shifted into overdrive.
Eastside, Long Beach, LA County. Hey, we coasting up here in Canada. They said I'm
Kind of
next.
unfair that Kenyon Rambo, after a 100-yard run, isn't even breathing hard.
And still had a chance to say hello to the NFL Network and all the fans watching down there.
Let me clean them out first.
Played his
7
college
minutes
ball
in.
at Ohio State.
There's Tim Mayput. And Stamps are fired up. Charleston Hughes downfield with evil intentions.
Pretty good situation for a football team when they can put a defensive lineman on the cover teams. Charleston Hughes is a rush end who can come down and cover the field on kickoff and punts, and he gets down there first. He's the arrow, and pretty big tackle.
Well, the Alouettes going to have to dig themselves out of an early hole. Just thinking back to last year after the Grey Cup, they come in here for the first game and scored on their opening 2 possessions at McMahon. A little different here tonight as they seem to be in disarray and down after that big play by Rambo.
Well, let's take a look again and watch Billy Parker here. Now, he's going to drop into that middle zone, and Chip Cox underneath. He's the key because he has to get under this Rambo throw right here. He needs linebacker help. Billy Parker needs Chip Cox to get underneath that, and he doesn't. He's too shallow. That opens up a little hole for Kenyon Rambo, and because Billy Parker had his feet in sand, Rambo splits him. 100 yards later, Calgary's playing the fight song.
6th touchdown of the year for Rambo. Robbie Bryant has his 8th. Stamped by 14, 2nd and 10. There's Coburn. A much-needed Alouette first down.
Yeah, they really have to just slow things and calm things down a little bit. No one knows that better than the veteran in Anthony Calvillo. 17 seasons in the CFL. I mentioned coming off his best yardage output as a Montreal Alouette with 477 yards against Winnipeg. And boy, they need to just calm things down right now, get a few first downs, and try and take a little of this momentum away from Calgary.
13 for Coburn, a first down. Time for Calvillo. He wants to go deep. S.J. Green can't bring it in, working against Dwight Anderson on the corner.
Well, in the Montreal Alouettes, we have to mention again that they're shuffling their receiving core a little bit with the loss of Kerry Watkins. That means S.J. Green, who normally plays inside at receiver at the slot back spot, is now playing wide out on this play. He goes one-on-one with Dwight Anderson, has a chance at it, and Anderson pulls it out of there. They're going to have to juggle this receiving core a little bit more.
Green stepped up last week in the absence of Watkins in the second half of that game, a 100-yard receiving game, as did Brian Bratton, 2nd and 10, and there's Andrew Hawkins also will see more time in the absence of Kerry Watkins. A big first down for Montreal.
Not a big receiver. Andrew Hawkins, 5'8", 165, catches this ball right in the seam, and Anthony Calvillo drills it right in that zero.
Mentioned Green and Bratton with 100-yard games last week, and Hawkins had a touchdown catch after Watkins went down. Alouettes won that one, 44-40. They were down by 9 in the 4th quarter. First down, Calvillo has Andrew Hawkins, and Milt Collins will bring him down at midfield.
Well, last week, Kerry Watkins was injured. He injured his shoulder against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and did not finish the game. Left shoulder, he's been put on the 9-game injured list, and Now, the club may be able to take him off early because, of course, 9 games would include the rest of the regular season and then some.
Watkins was 5th in league receiving, and the leader in big plays of 30 yards or more among receivers. Second and short, Jamal Richardson, who is the leader in second down conversions, has the catch, a first down, and his 26th second down conversion catch of the year.
Well, and they're going to lean on these guys. I mean, that's the difference. They have a good receiving core anyway. Jamal Richardson, as you mentioned, the new stat we're keeping this year is those catches that move the chains on second down. Jamal Richardson coming in, leads the league in that category, also leads the CFL in overall catches coming in with 75. So we're going to go to more Jamal Richardson, S.J. Green, Andrew Hawkins.
Now, with that said about Richardson leading the league in catches, he feels he's got to bring his play up even higher in the absence of Watkins. And Calvillo starting to get into some rhythm here, and Brian Bratton with a catch. Another Montreal first down at the Calgary 34.
Boy, Brian Bratton was kind of a forgotten man when Watkins was in the lineup. Now last week, Bratton just jumped off the stat sheet with 7 catches and 128 yards. And this is a good one. I mean, that's a Ben Cahoon style catch.
Alouettes had 566 total yards last week. You mentioned Calvillo, Alouette best 477 passing yards. 3 times in his career he's been over 500, but never with Montreal. AC looking for Cahoon, and that pass behind him with Brandon Smith in coverage.
Last week, Anthony Calvillo, it was a gutsy call, and not many on 3rd and 4 with the game on the line would go deep. A 48-yard strike over 2 defenders to Brian Bratton. It was 3rd and 4 at the time, and conventional wisdom would say get the first down, move the chains. They had just over a minute, but not this veteran. Anthony Calvillo goes deep for 48 yards and a touchdown to win the game.
2nd and 10, it gets loud at McMahon. 6 receivers out. He's got an open man. And Avon Coburn out of the backfield has the catch. And another Alouette first down. An impressive drive being put together, and the Alouettes need it after the slow start.
Ball a little bit behind Avon Coburn, or he may have been able to take this to the end zone, but they do move the chains. And, you know, I talked to Scott Milanovic, the offensive coordinator for Montreal, about that 3rd down play last week, and he said, you know, there's not many quarterbacks around that would have the composure and the guts to go deep on 3rd down like that.
First down, he looks for the end zone. S.J. Green, and Brody Anderson there in coverage with his back to the quarterback, and broke up the play.
Well, you know, his back was to the quarterback, but I didn't see him put his hands up, so no flag on the field for screening in this play. He's just reading the eyes now. You can see him look right in the eyes as the ball arrives. He times it up to get his hands up, and it hits him in the back. But that's what a DB will do when he's chasing the receiver and can't see the ball coming. He'll look at the eyes. When the eyes get big, he reacts.
The 11th play of the drive, trying to keep it going. 2nd and 10. Terry Carter in for blocking. Looking into the end zone, and it's a touchdown. Andrew Hawkins has his 2nd in as many games. So the Alouettes get back in it.
Protection up front for Anthony Calvillo is the key because he's allowed to reload. Andrew Hawkins out of his break was not open, but Anthony Calvillo had the time to take a look. Watch him. He wants to throw it now, but he reload, then wait for Andrew Hawkins to open up, and then put it right on the money.
The receiver who missed last year's Grey Cup game when he fractured his ankle in the Eastern Final. A big touchdown catch here at McMahon.
2 touchdowns in 2 straight games.
Duval adds the extra point, and that cuts the lead in half. Just over 2 minutes left, first quarter. Find out how you can create your own plays at NissanArmchairHero.com.
This is the route right here by Andrew Hawkins. Now, this is against what's called cover 2 man, which is man-to-man underneath, and that's the man, Keon Raymond, covering him here. So watch the first man get a swim move right there. Little swim by Andrew Hawkins. Now, the guy over top is Malik Jackson. He's right here. He's got over-the-top help. Well, this corner route and that little shake right there opens up Andrew Hawkins. Beats 2 to get to the end zone.
11 plays, 91 yards for the Alouette touchdown. And here's John Cornish, who will handle some kick returns in this game and work at that burst. Might win himself a job with returns like that.
Let's take one more look at a great route running from Andrew Hawkins. Mentioned he wasn't big, but he was physical enough to get out and around that first jam by Keon Raymond. And Anthony Calvillo got a chance to reload. He had enough time to wait for Hawkins to open up in behind the deep coverage in Malik Jackson. So Hawkins against 2 comes up with a football.
Damon Duval, the Alouette kicker, injured on the kickoff, and he remains down. And it looks like they're checking the kicking leg after he got rolled on by John Cornish.
Being tackled by Diamond Ferry. University of Kansas Jayhawk rolls right up on Damon Duval. And that's his kicking leg too. Last time Damon Duval was on this field, he got 2 chances to kick for a championship and made good on the second one.
Turned out to be the hero after what really was a tough night for him, an uncharacteristically poor punting night, and good sign for the Alouettes that he's headed off under his own steam.
I found it interesting that the Alouettes were trying to sort of downplay the fact that they were returning to the site of the Grey Cup championship from last year, that they're not staying in the same hotel, that the players are not finding the same locker stalls they had. They said that year was that year. This is a new year and a new challenge.
Henry Burris in the offense will start from the 44-yard line. Joffrey Reynolds off the right side. Foot race, and he's caught from behind. Diamond Ferry and the Stampeders just keep churning up big plays in this first quarter. 26 for Joffrey Reynolds.
You know, and he had to break through that first point of attack. He had to break a couple of tackles to get there. Joffrey Reynolds right in behind Henry Burris. Nothing fancy about it. That read and react from Burris. He gives him the ball and runs right through the hand and arm tackle of John Bowman, and that's saying something.
So he just passed Dave Talon into 9th place on the all-time rushing list. Henry Burris has also moved up, and he's looking for Bryant again, and unable to come up with that catch with DeAndre Dix in tight coverage. But on the 100-yard pass play to Kenyon Rambo, Henry Burris moved into 9th all-time in passing, passing your old teammate Kent Austin.
Yeah, as he moves up that list, he just passed Dieter Brock and went past Kent Austin with the long throw.
So it's 2nd and 10. And Burris over the middle. He's got Rambo again, working against Billy Parker. It's a Stampeder first down at the Montreal 28.
Well, Billy Parker's having a bit of a rough night early on here. I mean, he was beaten on the Robbie Bryant throw, and he was the deep man, the Kenyon Rambo 100-yarder, and this is Rambo again. Now, this is straight man-to-man. Now, he's expecting inside help from the safety, Matthew Prue, but Matthew Prue was so deep he couldn't get there. And another catch in front of 17.
Parker, who had a big interception in last year's Grey Cup game. Stamps look like they're going after him a bit. Here's Reynolds, and what a neat sidestep that was to turn nothing into about a 5-yard gain.
Let's take a look at that list for Henry Burris and where he sits right now. There's Kent Austin now at 10. Henry Burris moves into 9th spot. And next on his radar is Tom Clements. course, Anthony Calvillo, who is not really considered the numbers throughout his career, is all of a sudden looking at the possibility of becoming the league's all-time leading passer as well. So we've got some of the all-time greats in this game tonight, both as receivers and quarterbacks.
2nd and 5. And looking into the corner for Nick Lewis, overthrows the intended target, back in the lineup after missing last week. Final play of a wild first quarter at McMahon. First quarter stats are brought to you by Tim Hortons, proud sponsor of the CFL.
Well, if there was any question as to whether or not Henry Burris could bounce back from his worst outing last week against the BC Lions with well under 200 yards passing, the answer is right on those stats on the right-hand column. He, right out of the gate, had a 61-yard touchdown to Romby Bryant and then a 100-yarder to Kenyon Rambo, so he's back.
Yes, after 136 all of last week. But John Hufnagel has said this before. When Henry Burris makes a mistake, he usually is pretty resilient, and when he has a bad game, he has bounce back capability, and we've certainly seen it so far. This is the third possession. They're back in range for a field goal.
Yeah, and the Andrew Hawkins touchdown for the Montreal Alouettes, a chance for them to just kind of keep pace because it was looking all Calgary in that first quarter.
They do switch ends. Alouettes will now have the wind, and Rob Maver will attempt a 29-yarder. And so it's 3 possessions, 3 scores for the Stampeders, and a 10-point lead here on the first play of the second quarter.
You talk about Henry Burris and a bounce-back game, a real push-back game, and how John Hufnagel has said that he's done that throughout his career, and that's why you can last 12 years. That's why you can be a Grey Cup champion quarterback. You know, there's only 3 times this season he completed below 60%. That's how good he has been, and leading his team to 9-3, but 2 losses in a row had everyone here worried, and then 136 yards, and all of a sudden you're thinking, what's wrong with Henry Burris? Well, he's bumped that slump at 184 1/4.
Worst game in 4 years last week. The whole offense just seemed to be out of sync. And without the spark plug, not the reason they were out of sync, but Nick Lewis's absence didn't help. But tonight, a different story against a usually very stingy defense. Maver putting it downfield, and again, Tim Maypray looks for a return. Up across the 30 to the 32-yard line. Well, of course, last week, Montreal with that comeback win, the dramatic 48-yarder to Brian Bratton on 3rd and 4, and here's how the quarterback of the Alouettes saw the play.
Based on what I saw, I just trusted what I had to go through and ended up going weak to Brian Bratton. I mean, we know it was going to be a long pass, but we felt that he was going to give us a chance to get open and come up with a big play. So for me, I didn't think about whether it was 3rd and 4. I just thought about trusting my read, getting to the guy, and give him a chance to make a play, and that's what we did.
And that resulted in the 44-40 win over Winnipeg last week. Coburn tossed down. There's big Tom Johnson with the tackle at the 35.
Yeah, and I talked to Scott Malenovich, the offensive coordinator. I said, first of all, did you call the play and ask Anthony Calvillo to throw the ball deep, to go after it because of something you saw? He said no, absolutely not. We had receivers at the first down markers, including Ben Cahoon, one of the sure-handed receivers in the game's history. So there were receivers in that play call to just move the chains, but he said the composure of Anthony Calvillo in 17 years in the league, he made his read, made the play.
The down play over the middle. He was looking for Bratton. The pass high and incomplete.
But plays like that, Chris, can become defining moments. I mean, they have a bit of a road to climb here with a good start by Calgary, but those can be defining moments in seasons when you just make that one big play necessary and everyone kind of takes that deep breath like, wow, how gutsy was that on 3rd down with well over a minute to play, to go deep like that. We'll see.
Pair of 2 and outs. Duval is all right to come in and punt. Oh, check that. That is not Damon Duval. And Dion Murphy up across the 30-yard line. It was Shea Emery, the left footer, with the boot. Well, there's the UBC product who comes in a pinch, and it's not a bad first punt in the CFL for Shea Emery.
No, it's not. This is the punt formation, and that's the middle linebacker and Shea Emery, the left footer. Pretty good average. 1 for 48 so far. Here
comes the rush, and Henry Burris hooks up again on that slant to Robbie Bryant in traffic.
Little slant half roll for Henry Burris, and the one thing I've noticed from this offense is that they're getting the ball out of his hands quickly. No real deep drops where they're, even when they're going deep, that 100-yarder, a quick throw to Kenyon Rambo.
Leroy Band now on the corner for Montreal. Second down, and they toss to John Cornish with a burst. Spins off one tackle. Has a first down up at the 50-yard line. Let's join Sarah Orleski.
Chris, we haven't gotten confirmation from the Alouettes as to what the status of Damon Duval will be going forward. We did see Shea Emery take the punt there. He will be handling punt duties if Duval is not able to. Ben Cahoon, meanwhile, will be taking kickoffs and field goals in Duval's place. And Cahoon, who is usually the holder for Duval, will now be having Danny DeVero hold for him.
So Ben Cahoon getting ready. I think he's kicked a couple converts in games we've done over the years. 1,000 catches, apparently not enough.
350.
A little extra job security for number 86. There's Burris, another completion to Kenyon Rambo as he continues to enjoy success against Billy Parker. That's 4 catches in this first half.
Kenyon Rambo, was held to 3 for 26 last week. I mean, that was not a good game for the quarterback, and when it's not, most of the time the receivers obviously aren't going to get their share. So just an average game for Rambo last week. But when you go before that, he had 3 of the first 4 over 100 yards. I mean, he was really on a roll until they ran into the BC Lions a week ago.
Second and less than a yard. Drew Tate into the game. And he hands it off to Cornish, who initially was stopped behind the line of scrimmage, does fall forward. And this might be close, and Cornish comes up scrapping. Jeff Robertshaw in on the tackle.
I mentioned the University of Kansas Jayhawks John Cornish because he still holds the university's single-season rushing record with 1,457, and some pretty impressive names that attended that school. John Riggins, Washington Redskin. That was his best year in 1970. And of course, Gale Sayers, maybe one of the most smooth runners in NFL history in 1962, was his best. And you see the total John Cornish had.
A terrific season he's had, but dropped for a loss of a few inches, so it's third down. And 1.5 yards as Drew Tate plunges forward behind Tim O'Neill, and that should do it.
Well, that's pretty impressive when you think about Gale Sayers, who was at the University of Kansas, and this guy, Big John Riggins. When you think about that Super Bowl MVP year where 166 yards rushing, was there a running back in the NFL that pounded defenders more than John Riggins? And then, of course, silky smooth Gale Sayers. Both former Jayhawks, including in that list is John Cornish, who grew up in the lower mainland of Vancouver, but went to University of Kansas.
You say not bad company for a kid from New Westminster. First down, and here's John Cornish bouncing off first contact. He's been doing this all season long. Certainly not a John Riggins type. Boy, he'd love to be compared with this guy.
You know, he's really somewhere in between in a lot of ways because he can make those big plays. I don't know that there was a running back in football in either league that was as good or as smooth as Gale Sayers. And, of course, John Riggins could pound you. And John Cornish is sort of in between. I mean, Cornish can run over a defender, but he can make you miss in the open field. By the way, in college, his average was just shy of 6 yards. His average in the CFL to this point, 7.5.
He's had 3 runs of over 50 yards this year. He has had 4 games rushing for over 70 yards. And although that sounds modest, he only plays 1 out of every 3 series for the Stampeders, in behind the 2-time leading rusher in the CFL, Joffrey Reynolds. But what a changeup it is. Reynolds pounding and the speed and slashing ability of John Cornish. First down run, and Montreal hasn't been able to stop this Calgary offense in the first half. Burris complete, and Nick Lewis another catch, and there's another matchup we were looking forward to tonight. Nick Lewis and Chip Cox.
You mentioned that, you know, Nick Lewis, yeah, this is an interesting matchup we'll watch, and he missed last week. And, you know, Nick Lewis comes in to this game with 800, just over 800 yards receiving, but it's more importantly, it's not the 800 yards, but how he gets the 800 yards. I mean, he leads the league in yak yards after the catch, and that can be inspirational for an entire team. When you break those tackles in the open field, that's what Nick Lewis does.
2nd and 2. There's a first down grab, and Bryant got loose. Leroy Van missed the tackle. Bryant down to the 5. 26 yards for Bryant, who already has a touchdown on the night.
Robbie Bryant, wide receiver out here. And let's see the little shake he makes after the catch. Nothing fancy about the route. He's just going to sit down at about 6 yards. Breaks that initial tackle, and there's 17 again, Billy Parker in chase. This time he gets him down before he gets to that goal line.
Boy, some of these Stamps padding their stats after the off week. Last Saturday against BC, 1st and goal from the 5. Joffrey Reynolds down close to the 1-yard line.
You know, I mentioned Nick Lewis because last week without them, it looked like a different offense. And you can say, well, there's good depth at receiver here for Calgary. So, I mean, yes, he's a leader, but there's his yak yards total. And that's first in the CFL. And when you break a tackle in the open field like Nick Lewis does, as dramatically as he does, it ignites a team. They were missing that last week in a big way.
Maybe 1 or 2 plays or a big block by Lewis, and might have jolted them out of the slumber last week. Routine into the game on 2nd and goal. That's an easy touchdown. 4 possessions and another score for Calgary.
Well, and Drew Tate out of Iowa's coming over that left side, and guess who is playing left guard? It's Steve Middleton, as Sarah mentioned off the top of the show. Dan Comiskey, the veteran, is out, but that does not bother Drew Tate at all in the short yardage plays, and down on the goal line, he goes right behind Steve Middleton.
10-play touchdown drive. Extra point by Maver. And the Alouettes are up by 17. Point Calgary lead.
The Stampede is on. What answer? I mean, this is, don't know that the Montreal Alouettes have been in this kind of deficit all season.
There's Van on the return, and it's a good one, and stumbled through traffic and is brought down just across the 45-yard line. Colors she's wearing when they're here. The backfield Brian Bratton is taken down quickly by Keon Raymond. Let's take another look at the latest Calgary touchdown.
Well, the newcomer at guard, Steve Middleton, he makes a nice block, gets some help from Ben Archibald and Rob Cote, the fullback, with Joffrey Reynolds, the kickout. Perfect blocking on the left side of that offensive line, and Drew Tate just follows the big guys into the end zone and is not touched.
So Anthony Calvillo has to get this offense going. Second down and incomplete for the third time tonight. The Alouettes have a 2-and-out.
And the Montreal Alouettes, after that last touchdown, Chris, had a huddle on the sideline. Their linebacking coach, Tim Tebesser, had to go over there and talk and basically relay the message from upstairs, the defensive coordinator in Tim Burke. So they're trying to circle the wagons, the Montreal defense. There's Burke in the middle. The coaches, they've got to figure out a way to stop the bleeding here.
Unnecessary. It's a 15-yard penalty, and it's third down.
Pick up the number. There was an unnecessary roughness way down the field in the Calgary secondary. A late flag after the play was dead, and that's a costly one. Moves the football back 15 yards, and something else for Mark Trestman to address in what has been a disappointing first half for the Alouettes. On the turf where they won the 2009 Grey Cup, Damon Duval is back and hammers that kick. Only the leg's fine. Dion Murphy on the return with a cutback up to the 25-yard line.
Well, it may be fine because he did kick that one. He did pound it, but he was limping all the way down the field, and it'll be interesting to see if he'll be able to step into a field goal, especially a longer attempt. So we'll see if it will be Ben Cahoon in the field goals. He did hammer that punt,
61 yards,
but then limped down the field about 10-15 yards and then limped off. So special teams so important in the game in the CFL.
We watched him during one of the breaks, and he seems very concerned with the knee situation right now, looking unstable, but yet that big kick backs up Calgary a bit. Reynolds over the backfield, incomplete.
Well, the main concern for the Montreal Alouettes right now is their defense, and they've got to get a stop. Henry Burris has bounced back in a big way. I mean, big plays down the field. He's got lots of time to throw. They got the running game going. So for Mark Trestman and Tim Burke, they've got to rally the troops at halftime, figure out a way to get a couple of stops and get Anthony Calvillo back on the field, and Tim Burke is that middle coach.
Right here would be a good start as the Stamps look at 2nd and 10. Here comes the rush, and Burris escapes. He'll take off and hit the deck short of the first down with Mark Estelle bearing down on him, and they do get the stop for the first time tonight. 5th possession, Calgary comes away empty-handed for the first time.
Well, you know, Dave Dickinson understands one thing. First of all, he's off to a great start. I mean, the game plan and the play calling has been outstanding for Henry Burris, who's executed it to perfection. Remember, last week against Winnipeg, the Montreal Alouettes were down 26-17 at the half. Started the second half with 2 quick touchdowns. So really this defense for Montreal just needs to get those stops and get Anthony Calvillo back on the field.
Burke Dales against the breeze, and they play. On the return, runs into Randy Chevrier, and there are a couple of flags on the field. The long snapper, Randy Chevrier, the Montreal native, downfield quickly. So 2 penalties to sort out with just over 4 minutes remaining in this first half.
And John Hufnagel's indication would be that both are going against Montreal.
Holding. Montreal number 30. That penalty is declined. Illegal block. Montreal number 22. That's a 10-yard foul. First down.
So Mark Trestman's team continues to make errors.
Well, they're 9-3, won 3 straight, and they're one of the issues has been this year, as good as their record is, penalties. I mean, they come into this game ranked dead last in the CFL in that department.
Calvillo starts at the 30. There is a flag down, and Ben Cahoon doesn't make the catch. And we had a little scuffle well behind the play. T. George involved.
Now, when you talk well behind, you're talking almost 25 yards behind. It's like one of the receivers for the Alouettes came in to try and block Tay George.
Illegal use of hands holding Calgary, number 91. The 10-yard penalty. It becomes first down.
So they march it up to the 40-yard line. Let's take a look.
Here's Brian Bratton. Brian Bratton, the receiver, comes inside here. Tay George is going to come off the ball. Now, everything's okay so far, but he hooks around the neck of Bratton's, twists him around a couple times, holds him up so he doesn't go to the ground.
And that's still going on even after the incompletion. Bratton ended up back at about the 10-yard line. A little size mismatch there as Tay George runs 263 and Bratton at 185. It's a first down for Montreal at the 40. Good protection and a completion. Jamal Richardson has it down to the 22. Brought down by the safety, Wes Lysak.
That's what I'm talking about when it comes to Anthony Calvillo, and he just needs that football back and possession, and he's going to go now to Jamal Richardson, who runs that layered seam route right down the middle. He gets inside on Brandon Browner that's come over to track him. The ball put right in the hands just ahead of Brandon Browner in front of Wes Lysak. But how about the touch on that ball?
Might surprise you, that's the longest reception for Richardson on the season, 48 yards.
Without Kerry Watkins in the lineup, though, they're going to have to go to Jamal Richardson deep more.
First down at the 22. Coburn with 7 to the 15 on the final play before the 3-minute warning first half. Stampeders with the lead. Different energy level here in Calgary tonight. An energy level that was questioned a week ago for the home side. A lot of energy in the building right now on 2nd and 3. And looking into the corner for Cahoon, who has the catch, but out of bounds. There is a penalty, and I think the first read for Anthony Calvillo got tackled as he was released from the backfield.
Jamal Richardson's walking back to the huddle, making that throwing of the flag motion. Ben Cahoon was real close to that sideline. They ruled immediately on that he was out of bounds on the catch.
Still looking for his first touchdown of the year.
Illegal contact on a receiver. Calgary number 27. Penalty comes first down.
Brandon Browner called.
That's a matchup that Calgary has decided they're going to go with throughout this game, is to move Brandon Browner. Now, he's usually a corner that is going to play on the outside, but Browner has been matched up on Jamal Richardson all game, and he tackles him.
First down, looking into the back of the end zone. S.J. Green, touchdown. And a flag down. Dwight Anderson was in coverage. And is this going to be offensive pass interference?
Well, first of all, Brandon Browner jammed up Jamal Richardson at the line, so S.J. Green is the next read.
Calgary 33, the penalty is declined.
They're calling Dwight Anderson on interference. It will be declined. Touchdown Montreal, and one they desperately needed in this situation. Now, Dwight Anderson gets matched up on S.J. Green because Brandon Browner is playing Jamal Richardson. He's jammed up, and Anthony Calvillo goes to his second option. And there he is at the back of the end zone, S.J. Green.
Big Cahoon to kick the convert. Not the first time he's done it. And he puts it through, and that cuts the lead to 10 for the Stamps. And it's touchdown number 10 for S.J. Green.
Here's that matchup again I'm talking about. There's Jamel Richardson. And remember, watch Browner here. He's going to end up working on Dwight Anderson. But when you see that first matchup, there's Jamel Richardson one-on-one. Okay, he's out. No option there. And over the top is where Anthony Calvillo decides to go. Watch S.J. Green work in and around Dwight Anderson. He just grabbed his jersey. That's why he got the flag.
So S.J. Green takes the league lead. One up on Terrence Edwards now with his 10th. 10 touchdowns and not really a full-time starter this year.
Just watch how quickly, though, on this, if I could. Anthony Calvillo's ability to read and react quickly. His first read is right here. That's number 1. His number 2 goes right out here, and that's number 3. Now watch how quickly he makes these decisions. Anthony Calvillo, he looks at number 1, no good there. Looks at number 3, and he goes back in there right over the top to 2. And that's exactly the play Anthony Calvillo can make, and not many can.
Shea Emery to kick off, so Damon Duval not right. And another good return by Dion Murphy. And the man who kicked off, Shea Emery, makes the special teams tackle too.
Yeah, well, that's the good thing about having a middle linebacker as a backup kicker, because your middle linebacker can not only he kicks it off, and then he can come up, and now he's going to make the tackle.
Then again, he better make that tackle.
Well, you know, and yeah, you're right. Or Calgary Stampeders score, but there's a guy that you're not going to play as the safety very often if he's covering the kick. He's a middle linebacker. He can get down there. He can do the arrow.
So good kickoff, special team tackle, a big punt earlier. And here's Reynolds out of the backfield. Up to the 49, Billy Parker in on the tackle. And Henry Burris has just over 2 minutes to work with here. Trying to extend this lead for the Stampeders. What's been a very impressive first half for Calgary.
It really has, and it'll be a game of adjustments now. What do the Montreal Alouettes do to adjust to John Hufnagel and Dave Dickinson's offensive output in the first half? Because it has been impressive, and the guy executing it, Henry Burris, has been bang on.
2nd and 4. And Etwokian is knocked down as Kenyon Rambo was the target. DeAndre Dix back into the game on the corner, and he makes the play.
Calgary Stampeders go with a bit of a stacked formation here with Kenyon Rambo in behind, and they're just trying to get a little bit of a rub on DeAndre Dix. He doesn't buy it. He comes inside, is in good position with his shoulder square to the line of scrimmage. If you're DB, keep yourself square to the line. You can make contact down the field.
That's what I'm talking about, 50.
And Calvillo has some time.
It don't stop.
2 straight 2-and-outs for Calgary. Burke Dales with the kick. And that'll be a 15-yard no yards as Maypray fields it on the run. That'll be a 15-yard penalty against Calgary. And Calvillo has 91 seconds and decent field position to work with here to try and cut into this lead.
Ben Cahoon made an early catch in the first quarter. Has 1 drop tonight, but it was a penalty.
On the play, the man that was within 5 yards was pushed through the play. First down.
So no yards, and they will start at their 28.
And there is the running total now for Ben Cahoon trying to catch Terry Vaughn at 1,006. You think about all-time receivers in all of football, less than 10 have 1,000 catches or more.
TV, a former Stampeder and Alouette, as well as Hamilton Tiger Cat. Calvillo back to work with the rush on, and he throws that one away with Charleston Hughes and Devon Claybrooks, the former Alouette, bearing down on him. Claybrooks and Alouette in 2007, 2008.
When you're talking about our fans watching on the NFL Network, you think about Ben Cahoon and receivers in all of football that have 1,000 catches or more. Boy, there's just 9 of them. And Terry Vaughn, Ben Cahoon right there at 8 and 9. Look at Jerry Rice, 1,549 catches is his career. And remember, he was coached by Mark Trestman, who's now the head coach of the Montreal Alouettes.
2nd and 10. Looking downfield for Hawkins. Flag down as the pass is knocked away. Juwan Simpson was looking for the interception. And is this pass interference against the Stampeders?
Well, Keon Raymond was covering down that seam in man-to-man, and both he and the receiver went down. Juwan Simpson was trying to help playing in the deep middle. Andrew Hawkins cuts through the middle. It didn't look like the contact was deliberate. It looked like Keon Raymond and Andrew Hawkins almost tripped up, and that bounced right off the shoulder pads of Juwan Simpson.
Accidental pass interference. Calgary number 20. It's a 10-yard penalty, and it's automatic first down.
And that's what I meant about it. You know, with Keon Raymond coming through, they did make contact, but the contact looked legal. And he's out here. Juwan Simpson's going to drop from inside back into the middle. You'll see him in a second. There's number 12. But there's the contact now. There's a trip right there. And Hawkins goes down because of that trip. Incidental.
There's down Cahoon. Off his fingertips, and Malik Jackson has the incomplete interception. His first of the year. And how often do you see one get by Ben Cahoon like that?
No, you know, it was high, a little bit high and a little bit outside, but this is the second throw in a row in the direction of Ben Cahoon, the most reliable hands in CFL history, and he usually either stabs at or at least knocks it down, and what he does is worst case scenario for the Alouettes, which is tip it up in the air. Malik Jackson picks it off. His first interception of the season.
So that's the first turnover of this half. And a lot of time for Calgary to enhance their lead. They take over at the Alouette 46. John Cornish back in. That, by the way, just the 5th interception thrown by Calvillo this year. Go pump and look out. He looked right into the sack, and John Bowman chalks up another.
He has 10 now, and Philip Hunt, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, came into this game leading the CFL with 11. John Bowman in chase, and Bowman's going to get there. Henry Burris looked to the right side of the field, and when he looked back, he saw number 7.
Or maybe nothing at all. That's a blackout. Loss of 6. 2nd and 16. More pressure. Cornish. Little room there for John Cornish, and Shea Emery can't bring it down. What a move for Cornish for a first down. But it looked like he'd be stopped up well short. How'd he get away from Shea Emery?
Well, this is magic by John Cornish, and maybe a little of that Gale Sayers in him as he comes out of the backfield here. And he's just the desperation throw, because that pocket collapsed in a hurry on Burris. Now watch the move. Shea Emery, middle linebacker from the inside out. DeAndre Dix on the outside, and somehow John Cornish shakes him. He goes right after the inside pursuit from Emery, bounces it, and gets a first down.
They convert on 2nd and 16 with an 18-yard gain for Cornish. Now play action fake, and Burris has another completion to Kenyon Rambo, this time up against Gerald Brown.
Let's go back. I mean, that's pretty enough. You got to go back and take another look at John Cornish in the open field. And I love what he does here, because rather than split both defenders, in Dix coming from outside in and Emery on the inside out, what he does is he goes and attacks one of the tacklers, that being Shea Emery on the inside, makes him miss, and now he's got leverage.
Another first down. Here comes pressure, looking for Reynolds, and just trying to get it away, and there is a flag down. Are they going to call this grounding, or was there a low hit on the quarterback?
Well, I thought the ball went past the line of scrimmage, so if it did, it can't be grounding.
There's no infraction on the play. The pass crossed the line of scrimmage. It's 2nd down.
So he did get it beyond the line of scrimmage with Diamond Ferry hanging on, trying to bring him to the turf.
Anwar Stewart was in charge of covering Joffrey Reynolds out of the backfield. Big defensive end at 255 was running with the starting tailback in perfect position, and Burris had to throw it away.
Anwar in his 10th year in the CFL, and it all began here with the Stampeders. Dozen seconds to go. 2nd and 10, one shot at the end zone for Burris, perhaps. Taking a look, and runs out of time, and he's taken down. J.P. Pikasiak has his 3rd sack of the year, and here's a young Canadian defensive lineman who is coming on strong.
They don't get those sacks very often when they line up in the middle, and Pikasiak is right inside, working right beside Eric Wilson. And that, what you want from those interior D linemen is just a good push so your rush ends from the outside can get one-on-one matchups. But he's got 3.
And so Maver comes on. Final play, first half. And Rob Maver puts it through. On the final play of an opening half that sees 41 points on the board and a 13-point Calgary lead.
Number 82,
Marquee matchup on a Friday night with the home side leading by 13, and Sarah Orleski with Mark Trestman.
Coach, a bit of an uncharacteristic first half for your team. What was it that wasn't working for you guys?
Well, what wasn't working is that Calgary came off and they got the first punches out, and they did a great job. They got a couple of big plays. We didn't tackle very well. We allowed them some big plays down the field, and we tightened things up at the end of the 2nd quarter, and we feel pretty good about it going into the halftime.
We saw Damon Duval come out and do some kicks. What will be his status for the 2nd half?
Well, right now we anticipate he'll be able to punt the ball but not kick it. So we'll have other guys kicking off and field goals, as you saw Ben doing the extra point stuff, and we believe he can punt the football, so we'll start that way.
Great, thank you, Coach.
Okay, very good, Sarah.
Ben Cahoon 1 for 2 in his career in field goals, and Shea Emery, the middle linebacker, will kick off. And the other thing I've got to add is that Chris Schultz is not staying at Dave Randorf's house. No way. That's not happening. I can just see him try and fit in one of his little beds.
Of great relief to Dave Randorf. Kickoff that gets by Dion Murphy off the toe of Shea Emery. And they're going to circle him and bring him down at the 5, but late flag comes down on the play after that one skipped past Dion Murphy.
Let's see what this flag is, but a break out of the gate for Montreal to get some big jump in field position. Dion Murphy just lacks of concentration.
Major foul, unnecessary roughness. Montreal 21, 15-yard penalty, first down.
Michael Giffen, is that a horse collar?
Take a look what's more. Dion Murphy was limping off the field. It didn't really look like, it was the horse collar type, but it was a hand up high around the head and neck area.
So the 15 yards gives them a little breathing room, and they'll start at the 20. First possession, 2nd half for Henry Burris, who's been red hot, and so is this guy. Kenyon Rambo skips out after 21 at the 41-yard line.
Milt Steele talked about this at halftime, that this is a matchup that Henry Burris is going after him. He's getting Kenyon Rambo on Billy Parker. Billy Parker comes into this game leading the league with Brandon Browner of the Calgary Stampeders in knockdowns, and sometimes knockdowns not good enough, but right now they're going right after Billy Parker right out of the gate. They're not changing the game plan. That's the matchup they want.
Rambo up to 169 yards already on the night. Here's Joffrey Reynolds inside, and John Pullman brings him down at the 45-yard line.
Good first half and an outstanding first quarter for Henry Burris. Over 300 yards of offense by the Calgary Stampeders in a half of football, on pace for 600.
Offside. Montreal 31. It's a 5-yard penalty. Repeat, first down.
Corner Marcus Stell offside. Always interesting when the corner's offside, but it'll be 1st and 5.
274 for Henry Burris, 2 touchdowns. Remember last week, 136 in the entire game. He was pulled, had 2 interceptions, bounced back in that first half.
High shotgun snap. Burris now dumps it off, and there goes Joffrey with a little hurdle over midfield, and a first down for the Stampeders down to the Montreal 51.
You know, Anwar Stewart was really caught in between. He didn't want to attack Henry Burris aggressively, and yet he had to try and cut him off. So you could see big Anwar Stewart just hesitates for a second. Burris is allowed to just dump that out there to Joffrey Reynolds.
So Burris over 300 yards passing already. 6th time for Hank on the season in that department. More pressure here, and Burris steps up, but gets away. And has another first down to the Montreal 36.
Boy, Anwar Stewart did everything he could to get to Henry Burris. Here he fought through a double team. He got up the field. He's going to get doubled by Joffrey Reynolds. He's got one of the best offensive linemen in Ben Archibald working on him. He works through there. He cuts underneath. Relentless effort, and still Henry Burris, with his athletic abilities, able to squirt through and pick up the first down. Tremendous effort by Anwar Stewart to get there. He was just inches away.
14-yard run. Alouettes tightened up defensively in that second quarter, but Calgary moving the football here early in the third, and Nick Lewis hit that, just ran over Mark Estelle, and this is one of the best touchdowns of the year. Nick Lewis, 37 yards, bulldozing in for a major.
We alluded to it in the first quarter. Nick Lewis and his yak yards, how he leads the Canadian Football League in yards after the catch. But maybe more importantly than those yards is how it can inspire an entire football team. How pumped up you get when you get a receiver in the open field who becomes the hammer and not the nail. Look at Nick Lewis.
Tread marks left on Mark Estelle, and Nick Lewis to the end zone. They score on their first possession of the first half and of the second half. And up their lead to 20.
Go fishing. I'm going fishing.
So he's going to run over DBs, and then he's going to go fishing.
Look out, fish.
Yeah.
It ain't over. It ain't over.
2 for 45 tonight, but that last one, pretty impressive.
Here's Leroy Van on the return. Not going very far. Doesn't reach the 25. This one worth another look and a listen to.
Mark Estelle is trying to find the license plate number of the truck that just ran over him. 235 from Southern Arkansas. Just bulldozed 185-pound Mark Estelle. And that gets an entire bench pumped up.
Anthony Calvillo back to work. Brian Bratton scooting out of the backfield and stepping out at the 30. As close to 6.
Those yards after catch are important, but there was a difference between Rambo's yards after catching that 100-yarder and Nick Lewis's. He has 448 yards after he catches the football. That represents 51% of his yardage coming into this game this season. he doesn't go down when the first defensive back tries to tackle him. And a lot of times, it's Mark Castell. That's what happens to you as a DB. You're getting up there, you're getting bulldozed by Nick Lewis.
2nd and 4. Pressure. Calvillo got it away, and a flag flies as Ben Cahoon was pulled down. Brandon Smith a step behind Cahoon.
You know, Brandon Smith, I'm not sure he had to really do this. He panics at the end. I'm not sure Cahoon could get there. He was cutting across the middle.
Automatic first down.
Looked like that might have been uncatchable, and that's the way the fans here at McMahon saw it as they show their displeasure with the call, and now another flag has been thrown.
Objectionable conduct. Calgary, number 73. 10-yard penalty.
Oh, boy.
First down.
Well, there's no 73 for the Calgary Stampeders. It must have been 77, who is Tom Johnson. But again, you know, Brandon Smith coming across the middle there. I'm not sure Ben Cahoon, with the angle that he was crossing the middle, was going to be able to get to that football.
Go down to the Montreal, or the Calgary 49. Calvillo over the middle. He's got Jamel Richardson. Brandon Browner will pull him down with some help. But Richardson all the way to the Calgary 16.
You know, Milt Stegall talked about that matchup with Rambo against Parker the other way. This is another one that I'm really interested to watch the rest of this game. Two big physical receivers. Jamel Richardson is 6'3", 207 pounds. He's going against Brandon Browner at 214, and he's 6'3". Now, he gets inside him here, but this matchup's been going on all game. You got to believe Jamel Richardson went in at halftime. Receivers do this and say, I am not going to get stopped on a one-on-one.
33 for Richardson, a first down for the Alouettes, and looking into the corner and incomplete. Keon Raymond step for step with Andrew Hawkins.
Anthony Calvillo was forced to go to that side. Let's take a look at this matchup again. He's coming inside. Now he gets separation, Jamel Richardson, and had Anthony Calvillo been able to look to the right side, the wide side, he might have had a completion there. Two big physical players going at it. Brandon Browner usually a corner. He's usually outside on whoever comes out to play wide out, but Calgary has decided they're going to put him on 18.
And there's the touchdown.
And what a route run by Jamel Richardson. I watched it the whole way. Brandon Browner's going to walk up and try and be physical. Get up in this one-on-one, and he's going to say, okay, you're going to have to be, watch the hesitation. Little hesitation step, and then he's gone. He's got just a step on Brandon Browner, and that ball arrives on time.
So an answer from Montreal here in the third quarter to indicate they're not going away quietly tonight. And Ben Cahoon looking for his second convert of the night. And that one right down the pipe.
Let's go. Let's go. Hey. Fuck that nigga, man.
Tomorrow night, 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 Pacific.
Oh, I'm loving this. I mean, you're watching Jamel Richardson one-on-one on Brandon Browner, one of the best covermen. And then the other side, Kenyon Rambo going on Billy Parker.
Henry, another line drive kickoff that gets by the return man. This time it's John Cornish. And Cornish will work his way back up across the 20-yard line. 5 plays, 86 yards, 219, and Montreal gets Peter.
One-on-one, you know, football in Canada comes down to each play is a battle. Each play is 12 one-on-one matchups. Win enough of those matchups, you win the battle. Win enough of the battles, you win the war. You win the game. And Jamel Richardson on that series won enough battles to get to the end zone against Brandon Browner. But that's not over. We'll go back to that matchup, guaranteed.
So both quarterbacks have thrown 3 touchdown passes in the game. Henry Burris has a league-leading 27 on the season. The fake wanted Rambo. Robbie Bryant over the middle and has to throw it away with Mark Estelle, the corner, blitzing.
You know, corners can do that a little more now because of the bunch formations offenses are running. Mark Estelle at times will be able to get close to the line of scrimmage, close enough to be able to actually go on a corner blitz. You don't see it much because the field is 65 yards wide, so corners are usually way too far away to even get involved in any type of blitz. But occasionally with those bunch formations now, they can.
2nd and 10, 4-man rush over the middle. Ball is caught short of the first down at the 25-yard line by Nick Lewis. But a 2 and out, and Montreal is going to get the football right back.
You know, and Henry Burrs has the matchup he wants. He has Kenyon Rambo on Billy Parker one more time on that play, and Rambo was at first down yardage, and you tell me, was he open? You bet he was open. Burrs didn't get him the football that time, but there's the other side of this one-on-one battle tonight.
Newcomer Leroy Van awaits. Burke Dale's the boot. Launches. And Van back at his 25. And he's pushed back, and Juwan Simpson tosses him to the turf. Play stopped. But there is a flag down after a 60-yard Burke Dale's boot.
Juwan Simpson, number 2 in the league in special teams tackles. This is the starting middle linebacker for the Calgary Stampeders. 15 coming in. Amazing.
Illegal block. Montreal number 11. 10-yard penalty, first down.
An illegal block against Chip Cox. Montreal football when we come back. Welcome back to McMahon. Let's rejoin Sarah Orleski.
Chris, Stampeders defensive tackle Miguel Robide isn't here tonight, and for good reason. He's back in Quebec, where this morning his girlfriend gave birth to their first son, a little boy named Yorick, who could be well on his way to being a lineman. He weighs in at 10 pounds, 4 ounces. And as Yorick gets older, he'll have some built-in playmates, with the Stork being very busy delivering to this Stamps defense. Brandon Browner and his girlfriend in late August had a little boy. Earlier this week on Monday, Keon Raymond and his wife had a little girl. And in the next few weeks, Dwight Anderson and his wife are expecting another child as well.
They just did renovations here at McMahon Stadium and put new offices. They might have to put a nursery in there somewhere. Yeah, a little daycare area.
First down catch by Coburn, and now a run by Coburn, and look at Michael Binjo there to wrap him after initial contact from Devon Claybrooks.
Now, that sets up 2nd and long. That sets up a passing down, and Brandon Browner and Jamel Richardson. The new daddies over there trying to hang in there. It was Jamel Richardson on the last series, and they've been tracking each other. Now, it looks like they're going to go back to the normal formation because Browner's on the opposite side, away from Richardson here. First time in this game tonight.
Lining up against Andrew Hopkins. And they give it inside, and Coburn not going anywhere. I was surprised at that call, and Devon Claybrooks not fooled.
You know what, and possibly the Stampeders and their coaching staff and defensive coordinator Chris Jones decided to just change things up here. He's a man-to-man defense, pressure in your face type of coach. He likes to see that from his secondary, and he saw Jamel Richardson win a couple of those battles in the last series. That time he went back to straight zone defense, 2nd and long, and let the game happen in front of his unit, his defensive unit, and then allow them to react and make the tackles.
Center Paul Lambert shaken up on the last play. He's getting attention. So we'll step out here midway through the 3rd quarter at McMahon.
Lions.
So Paul Lambert on the sidelines. The veteran center getting attention. David Duval back in to punt. Not handling any of the place kicks now, but able to punt. And just got that away and gets taken down. And roughing the punter penalty is going to be called as D.R. Murphy is stopped at the 37. And Duval hurting even more now as he is still on the carpet.
Yeah, that just might have done him in there because that one.
Major foul, roughing the kicker. Calgary number 23, 15-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
That's Jabari Arthur who gets called.
When you're trying to block a punt, there's a point in front of the kicker. Keon Raymond is the one who I think hit him, although both kind of ended up causing some problems. Keon Raymond off the edge and Jabari Arthur down the middle. Leg still in the air, you can't make contact, and both hit him with the leg still in the air.
So a tough night at the office for Damon Duval.
Early in the game, he was rolled up on a special team. And that was with his own teammate. It was Diamond Ferry, I believe, that was kind of pushed in. And John Cornish on the return. There's Diamond Ferry making the tackle. Rolled up on his right leg. He tried one punt. They've been working on it through halftime. Sort of limped around it, and that contact made there by Jabari Arthur and Keon Raymond, both again on that same kicking leg. So a tough night for Damon Duval.
But for the Alouettes, a chance to continue on offense here up at the 47-yard line. Trailing by 13, I can't help but remember back to late November last year when they were down by 14 at the half, and one of the biggest comebacks in Grey Cup history. First down after the penalty. And over the middle, incomplete. Intended for S.J. Green.
Chris Jones went right back to it. Brandon Browner right out there on Jamel Richardson once more. This is what we've seen tonight between these two big physical football players. That's Jamel Richardson getting a little tug there. He didn't get a call. Down the middle, nice big play for a key first down. And watch how physical they can become. There's Brandon Browner just putting him on his backside, and then this was the touchdown. Jamel Richardson wins that one.
Luc Bourgeois-Jourdain is in at center for the Alouettes in place of Paul Lambert. 2nd and 10. Gabriel gets it. Andrew Hawkins the catch. He'll be short of the first down as forward progress looked like midfield. He had to get to the Calgary 53.
When Brandon Browner doesn't go to 18, he goes back to his regular left corner position, and this time he's on Andrew Hawkins. He's going to play zone. You see him drop off into the zone now. His man is Hawkins because he's the only man in his area of the field, and he makes a sure tackle to hold Hawkins short of that first down, who had to come back to the ball. But when he lines up on the left corner by himself, the Calgary Stampeders at this point are playing zone defense, and then if it's man, he's going to 18.
Well, they don't give Hawkins forward progress at midfield, which would have been 3rd and 2. It's marked at the 53 of Montreal, and Mark Trestman is not going to gamble on 3rd and 4.
No, you got to kick this away, but good stop by Chris Jones' defense, because in sudden change on a penalty like that and roughing the kicker, boy, those can really come back to haunt you. It doesn't here because Calgary's defense dig in.
And now Shea Emery in the punt and gets it away. Murphy up across the 30-yard line. I'll tune in Wednesday for the NHL on TSN season preview special. James Duthie hosts this 2-hour special as our NHL on TSN panel preview the upcoming 2010-2011 season. Coverage begins at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. 32-yard punt by Emery. And based on how long it took to get that off, I wouldn't be surprised if we see the punt block team on for Calgary the next time that happens.
They'll put 11 up and try and get at them and run the punt block. Shea Emery took a little bit of time to launch that one. And his average, as he's had to punt more, is obviously coming down. His first kick was 48 yards.
Murphy, the catch. Not very much on the play as he's brought down after a 3-yard pickup by Billy Parker. 5 minutes remaining third quarter.
Henry Burris slowing down a little bit in this third quarter. A couple of adjustments by the the Montreal Alouettes, who come into this second half. Other than the one score on the first drive, have made some adjustments to slow the pace of Henry Burris.
Already doubled last week's totals and a lot more. Second down, Burris steps up. Open field, he'll take off. Easy first down, and he'll get out untouched at midfield. 20 for Henry Burris. And a Calgary first down, and Etienne Boulay and Juwan Simpson get involved. And Burris plays peacemaker.
Boy, you talk about the comparisons from this game for Henry Burris as opposed to last week against the BC Lions, and how he's basically doubled his production passing the football. He had a play just like this against the Lions where he fumbled it all by himself. That was another turnover, but a much smarter decision to just take it right out of bounds.
His pass efficiency rating last week was 27.1. For the year, 94.7. John Cornish cut down at midfield. Good play by the defensive halfback Gerald Brown.
Well, when you saw John Cornish in that first half beat Shea Emery and DeAndre Dix in the open field when they had him cornered, you can see how big of a tackle that is for Gerald Brown then, because he had him in space, and John Cornish has made a couple of guys that had him hemmed in miss. So that's a big open tackle when you can see how much room Cornish really had.
Getting 1 second and 9. Short drop, Murphy leveled as Billy Parker making an impact here in the second half.
Well, and maybe he's just sort of getting tired of getting picked on. So he's not playing Rambo here, and he's got a chance to just sit back, read the eyes of the quarterback, and come up and make a play. And he just decides to switch off, and he times it up perfectly, steps into Dion Murphy, and separates him from the football. And that's how you want to react when you're frustrated as a defender. Go up and hit somebody.
Tim Mapre is back to return this punt. Great kick there by Burke Dales into the corner. Mapre broke one tackle and skips across the 10, but the punter Burke Dales gets the job done.
You know, when you talk about these two head coaches, John Hufnagel for the Calgary Stampeders, of course, Mark Trestman, Montreal Alouettes, they both were hired basically 15 days apart in December of 2007. Hufnagel 15 days earlier than Mark Trestman. Their third seasons in their teams, look at their win-loss records, almost identical when you talk about 35 for Trestman, 32. And when you look at the Grey Cup wins, amazingly, Hufnagel's Stampeders won it in Montreal. Trestman last year won it right here in Calgary with the Montreal Alouettes.
Starting deep in their own zone and out of the backfield. Coburn up to the 15, has close to 3. Even more amazing, I think, is the records this year almost mirror each other. In fact, they're both 9-3, but beyond that, they both lost at home to BC, and they both lost on the road to Toronto and Saskatchewan. Identical records.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's just mirror images, and no coaches in the league have won more than those two over that span of time.
Second and 8. Time for Calvillo to look deep. Looking for Andrew Hawkins, a stride too far, as Hawkins was being well covered on the play by Keon Raymond.
Remember when Brandon Smith was over the middle in a very similar play with Ben Cahoon, the receiver? Well, this time it's Andrew Hawkins, and this time it's not Brandon Smith, who drew a PI penalty flag. This is now good composure by Keon Raymond. He's right on his ship's shoulder. He knows that he doesn't have to panic in this situation because he's in good position. Ball's not catchable, and no contact made.
And now Shea Emery to kick from standing at his 1, and Calgary going to go after it. Got it away, flag down. Might be another one here. Dropped at the 35-yard line. That's in that too many men spot. And let's find out what the officials have. Flag was dropped at the snap of the football. And the indication, too many men, Calgary.
There was one returner, Chris, and when I looked at the line of scrimmage, I thought I counted 12 up. And let's just take a look. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And there is a returner back there that is out of the picture.
Cue comparisons to last year's Grey Cup game.
Mark Killam, the special teams coordinator, wanted to maybe go after that punt from Shea Emery, but put the too many up front and then also had the returner back there.
Too many men, Calgary. No yards, Montreal number 23. As a result of the offset on the penalties, it's a 5-yard penalty against Montreal. Repeat, third down.
So the no yards really costly because otherwise Montreal gets a first down. But that's a 15-yard no yards call. And they will have to punt again. Although, in all likelihood, Mark Trestman may opt this time to concede the safety.
Now you almost have to. I mean, you're looking at your backup punter
into the wind.
In Shea Emery into the wind, standing about 8 yards, 5, 6, 7 yards deep in his end zone.
So the no yards doesn't just cost field position, it costs them 2 points.
Mark Trestman won't let that sideline official out of earshot just yet. He wants to get the full explanation.
And Emery does put a knee down. And with 80 seconds remaining in this third quarter, it's now a 15-point lead for Calgary.
I think the argument that Mark Trestman is making here is that if you have too many men on the field, how can you run the play?
I wonder if there could be offsetting penalties after a. That's the question from the coach.
If the Calgary Stampeders have 13 players on the field, which we counted and they did, unless it's a personal foul after the whistle has blown, Mark Trestman's question is how can you have a play where a no yards penalty is called when they have too many men on the field? But that's how it was ruled, as offsetting.
So now they have to kick off with Shea Emery at the 25-yard line. Those 2 points could turn out to be critical in this game. Alouettes will have the wind in the fourth quarter, but they have a big deficit right now. And that one out of bounds, an illegal kick.
Illegal kickoff out of bounds. Montreal number 41. Calgary will take the ball 30 yards in advance of the point of last scrimmage. First down.
So that means the football will be placed right at midfield after the kickoff from the 25.
Right. So not only do the Alouettes, because of the offsetting penalties, give up the safety, but have given the Calgary Stampeders with an illegal kick and a backup kicker. You can't blame Shea Emery. I mean, this is not his role. He's a linebacker, but now Calgary a chance to add to their lead.
Cote in the offense. Fake pitch to Reynolds. Lewis looks the other way and has Robbie Bryant for
Lots of choices out there for Henry Burris. A little play action, and then he's going to roll to his right. Once he play action fakes this way and comes outside, he's got options down the field. Robbie Bryant's one of them. There's the play action. That influences even the secondary. There's his first one, but he says, you know what, I can get more than 6 yards. So you got that one. I'm going to go to the outside to option number 2 if you're Burris and pick up bigger yardage.
Fourth catch of the night for Bryant, who has a 61-yard touchdown grab. And Burris under pressure, and he's brought down. John Bowman's got his second sack of the game, number 11 on the season.
Well, number 11, and his pace coming in was 14 sacks, which has been a personal best for John Bowman. Last year, he had 12. And in his career of 5 years, that was his best. Now he was on pace. He was on pace for 14, and with 2 tonight, he is now tied for the league lead with Philip Hunt, and that pace accelerates.
Still not sure John Bowman gets the credit he's due. One of the more unrated stars in this league.
I rate him as great.
Second and 14, Burris didn't get it back to the line of scrimmage, and they throw the flag for illegal grounding as Gerald Brown was there.
And the flag was way back by Burris. I'm wondering if one of the Montreal defenders may have hit him low. That's one thought. The other was because Joffrey Reynolds was close to that ball, even though it didn't cross the line of scrimmage.
Major foul, roughing the passer. Montreal, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Well, again, he hit him below the knee.
Here he comes off that edge, and you're right. That tackle is low beneath the knee, and that's called automatically. Now Henry Burris, I know what Gerald Brown's saying. Henry Burris was fading away. He was running backwards, so he went to tackle him around the waist, and all he got was his knee and below. But they don't really bring judgment into it. If you hit him low or you hit him in the head, it's going to be called.
Rule in place the last few years to help protect the quarterbacks.
2-2.
Final play, third quarter, barring a penalty. First down Stamps, and Burris steps up. Takes off. Thought about hitting the deck early, and why not run 10 more yards? And then get down. 14-yard run on the final play, third quarter.
459 yards passing on the heels of a game where he had 136 and was pulled. So that has been the story tonight. A couple of good one-on-one matchups that we've watched, but this Montreal defense has struggled against Henry Burris.
It has, after allowing 40 points last week, albeit in a win against Winnipeg. Should there be defensive concerns in Montreal?
No, I don't think there's concerns. I mean, the talent is there, and clearly this is a defense that has played well enough to get this football team to 9-3 coming into this one. They also have guys like John Bowman in their lineup, and Tim Burke just has to find the answer as quickly as possible in a quarter of play for Henry Burris.
Which team will be the first to 10 wins? Stamps trying to add to their lead. Burris takes off again, and this time he's tossed down at the 16-yard line after 3.
You know, and how you do that, Chris, is you take care of responsibilities. John Bowman's responsibility on that last play defensively was to take Joffrey Reynolds, the running back, on the play. So if every player on defense takes his responsibility, then your defense slowly chips away and comes back. So the responsibility for Bowman is running back. He takes Joffrey Reynolds, and he allows the linebackers to flow to the quarterback and Burke.
Second and 7. Henry Burris down to the goal line, and that ball skipped short of the target, Kenyon Rambo. And Billy Parker was there defensively.
Was. There they were, the one-on-one matchup. And Kenyon Rambo, who, if you're just joining us, had a 100-yarder in the first half, a 100-yard touchdown. This time, good position by Billy Parker. See how he stays on the back hip? They wanted to throw behind there, which is Burris putting it on the back hip of Kenyon Rambo. But Billy Parker denies it. He's in perfect position there. He's starting to get a little bit of a book now on Rambo and starting to win some of the battles.
So Rob Maver trying to go 3 for 3 on the night as he surveys a 23-yarder. And Maver puts it through, and it's an 18-point Calgary lead. Time, but the Alouettes have to make a lot happen to rally from 18 points down. Starting at their 35, and Calvillo looking downfield, and just out of the reach of Avon Coburn. Let's check back in with Sarah Orleski.
Chris, the Alouettes continue to have to deal with injuries, this time to center Paul Lambert, who we saw leave in the third quarter. It appears to be his right elbow, and he says that he's done for the night.
That's the leader in the middle there. That's the guy at center who's got to make the adjustments, make the calls, pick up the blitzes.
10-year vet replaced by the second-year man. 2nd and 10. And Calvillo changes the play. Charleston Hughes on the rush. He's got him. First time they've got to Anthony Calvillo tonight.
Well, and that wasn't over the middle of Paul Lambert or Luc Jordan Brodeur. That was Josh Burke in the one-on-one at left tackle. And Charleston Hughes, who says he kind of feels like he's kind of like Freddy Krueger, a nightmare for offensive linemen. There's the left tackle, Josh Burke, and just in front of that free safety, Eric Fraser. There he is. And Charleston Hughes looking around the corner.
12 men on the field for Calgary, and Shea Emery gets set to punt. And the left footer gets a pretty good pop. Murphy will step out at the 38-yard line. 54-yard kick. Punt return, and the ball is on the 28-yard line. Stampeders with the lead and the football here early fourth quarter. Here comes the pressure on Burris again. This time they bring him down. Jermaine McIlvain will get credit for the sack. That's the 4th of the game for the Alouettes.
Chip Cox gets pressure from the linebacking core along with John Bowman on the opposite side. Here's Chip Cox here, and Bowman's coming from the top. So when they get up there, they really close the pocket quickly on Henry Burris. One off the edge who cuts underneath that block of Joffrey Reynolds. Now Burris is in big trouble.
Loss of 8, 2nd and 18. Reynolds out of the backfield. And he'll be brought down close to the original line of scrimmage, and we've got a late flag in the Stampeder backfield, which was tossed as Reynolds was hitting the turf.
And way back to the opposite side, nowhere near where the football was.
Major foul, unnecessary roughness. Montreal, number 69, first down.
Eric Wilson, and the Alouettes can't afford that.
No, they were looking at getting the ball back. That's a controllable penalty. What I mean by that is that's just not losing your temper and frustration for Eric Wilson. And a bad penalty. You take a look there at 100. I mentioned coming in that they were last in the league in the penalty department, averaging 107 yards of penalties per game. Even though they have a 9-3 record, a good football team that have been able to overcome those penalties. Maybe not tonight.
So they're in that area now with 11 and a half minutes to go. Some ill-timed penalties here if they're thinking about a comeback. Nothing there for Joffrey Reynolds.
That was so far behind the play, too. Had nothing to do with the outcome one way or another for Eric Wilson. Way, way behind. He's working on Demetrius Sumpas, and you could see the uppercut with the right hand. He gave him an uppercut right to the stomach. Official standing right there, and Super says, well, that'll just cost you a big-time penalty, and we'll keep the football.
Second and 9.
Here we go.
And the draw to Reynolds. And Joffrey taken down by Anwar Stewart at the 48-yard line. It'll be a kicking situation for Calgary.
And I know that Mark Trestman was upset with that Eric Wilson penalty, also upset with that series before where he ended up having to give up a safety. And by the way, a quick check of the rule book, and that play was applied, or that penalty was applied correctly. Too many men and a no yards. They're offsetting, and that's why he had to give up the safety. He wanted the explanation. I know that's what he was arguing, is how could you get too many men and have a play happen? But what if it's a positive play for Montreal? They want the option to be able to decline in that case.
Burke Dales. Here's the kick. There's Maypray and more flags. One for no yards, but there might be more to sort out. Mark Calise down there in a hurry, the Montreal native, who has been such a solid special teams player for Calgary over 8 years. And looks like offsetting penalties here as well. We'll sort it out when we come back. Just over 10 minutes to go in Calgary. Well, it was no yards against Calgary, but Chip Cox called for holding. And the Alouettes will scrimmage the football at their own 33. AC steps up, looks downfield, and overthrows the intended target, S.J. Green.
It's Friday night, and it's a chance for us to say a special hello and thank you to our troops in the Canadian Forces. So meet Sea King pilots Captain Matt Dukowski and Captain Trevor Lance on a flight mission over Newfoundland and Labrador during Operation Llama. Over 1,000 Canadian Forces personnel are involved in delivering critical supplies, providing medical evacuation, and assisting in the reconstruction of the devastation caused by Hurricane Igor.
Second and 10. AC looking deep for S.J. Green. Incomplete. Dwight Anderson was there, and looked like Calvillo was throwing that as he was falling backwards under the pressure from that Calgary front.
You know, how much has this offense missed Kerry Watkins here tonight? I mean, this is the first game that he's not been in the starting lineup. He was the guy tied for the league lead in big plays over 30 yards, and without him in the lineup now, Calvillo's tried to lean on some other receivers, and one being S.J. Green, who had to turn around backwards and couldn't come up with that big play.
Here's Shea Emery, and Emery takes off and stumbles short of the first down as Keon Raymond brings him down at the 40-yard line. Not sure if that was the original call or a little landlord by Emery, but it's a turnover on downs by the Alouettes.
Yeah, you can't say for certain unless you ask the coach, but I would hazard a guess that with a middle linebacker as your punter, he probably got the green light early on in the game, said, listen, if you ever see an opening, you're an athlete, go ahead and take it. You know, and he's peeking to his right throughout that play. He sees it and says, you know what, I'm going to try this. Keon Raymond was spying him and didn't let him get out of there.
Stamps take over at the 40. Boris looks downfield. He's got Robbie Bryant. Move that was. Bryant, touchdown.
Burris has been money tonight. The timing on that throw, as good as it gets. Robbie Bryant had not come out of his break, and that ball was on its way. 1, 2, 3, step and throw to a spot on the field. Robbie Bryant comes out of his break. He has separation on DeAndre Diggs. Great move in the open field. And a little Heisman stiff arm.
Second touchdown of the game for Bryant. His first was 61. That was a 40-yarder. Coming after the turnover on downs. Neighbor the extra point. And the Stampeders in charge here with under 9 minutes to play.
Coming into this game, Wes Cates of the Riders had led the league in touchdowns with 14, and then there was a couple tied in second. Terrence Edwards with 9, and S.J. Green of Montreal with 9. Well, guess who has 9 now? Rombie Bryant with 2 tonight.
There's that move.
What a great move in the open field on Matthew Prue. But the timing on that throw, Chris, that's a long, wide throw from Henry Burris. He let it go, trusting Rombie Bryant was going to come out of the break in that perfect spot. He turns around, the ball's in the air, it lands right. You just cannot defend that.
28 touchdown passes on the year now for Henry Burris, who did not have one last week. First time since week 1 that happened. He's made up for it tonight, and Rombie Bryant's been a favorite target.
His third 100-yard game of the season. He had one against Toronto, one against Saskatchewan, and now against the Montreal Alouettes. Over 100 for Rombie Bryant.
And we may get a change at quarterback for the Alouettes. This kickoff stays in play. Leroy Van up to the 30-yard line, and will it be Adrian McPherson? It looks like it is. Anthony Calvillo's night is done. I know the guys talked about it before the game. Yeah. Are there games where you got to get McPherson in quicker? And this might be a little quicker than we normally see from Mark Trestman. But then again, when's the last time the Alouettes were down 25 in the fourth quarter?
Well, it hasn't happened very often. And I can't remember a game with Mark Trestman as their head coach that it has happened. It hasn't really been Anthony Calvillo's fault tonight, but they're going to shake it up and put Adrian McPherson in the game. He's 1-0 as a starter in 2010.
And Avon Coburn off the right side. Up to the 37-yard line.
Anthony Calvillo clearly missed his big play receiver in Kerry Watkins tonight. Kerry Watkins had 10 plays of 30 yards or more and was not available to Anthony Calvillo, which allowed Calgary to go with different matchups, move Brandon Browner onto Jamel Richardson. And again, it wasn't that Calvillo was off. This is not like Henry Burris's night a week ago. But Mark Trestman decides to get some reps for Adrian McPherson.
2nd and 3. And McPherson has Ben Cahoon for his second catch of the night, up to 1,002. 4 away from Terry Vaughn.
And remember that this is the first game of back-to-backs for these two teams. When you talk about maybe taking your starting quarterback out in a game that might have just become out of reach. But there's another big catch for Ben Cahoon as he climbs the ladder to become the all-time leading receiver in the receptions department.
First down at the 47, a fake to Coburn. Malik Jackson with pressure, and McPherson throws that away at the Montreal bench.
You know, when you watch this, could you imagine if all the time that Anthony Calvillo and Ben Cahoon have been together and all the passes and all the throws, 90% of Ben Cahoon's yards have come from Anthony Calvillo. Could you imagine in this next 7 minutes if Ben Cahoon somehow gets the record and it's Adrian McPherson that throws it to him?
Well, can McPherson hit him 4 times down the stretch? He'll take off here and get hit at the 50-yard line. 59 of 63 career Ben Cahoon touchdowns tossed by Anthony Calvillo.
You know, when you think about the last sort of sequence of events with Mark Trestman's team, Shea Emery tries a fake punt, doesn't work. touchdown is scored because of it. That's what you call paying for that kind of gamble. And then he basically makes the quarterback change, and in doing so says, okay, we play you back to back. This one might be out of reach.
Deion Murphy fields the Emery kick and is dropped at the 28-yard line.
Now the question is about this guy and whether or not he should be playing at this point in the game. Drew Tate out of Iowa, the backup for Henry Burris, who's got his helmet on and almost locked on. Those two bottom straps on the chin strap aren't quite done yet. Burris is coming out, but
now does Calgary stay with this, not because the game is in doubt, but because Burris is starting to feel it after what happened last week?
Well, I don't think you can get much better than 4-12-4. So,
you know, season high at 404 against Edmonton.
You know, and I'm just gonna say it, Chris, because you know I think he should come out. I mean, this game, and you know, we showed you a graphic where John Hufnagel and Mark Trestman, the two winningest coaches since they've arrived in the CFL in the league. So I'm certainly not second guessing or questioning the wisdom of John Hufnagel, but you know, you got a chance here to get Drew Tate some reps. You know, I think they're pretty confident that Henry Burris has bounced back from a bad game against the BC Lions with over 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. They don't have to prove that point anymore. I put Drew Tate in.
Second down, Burris throwing, looking for Lewis, and over his head, incomplete.
And again, the other thing that hangs over it to me is that one hit. That one hit that you twist your knee or something like that, and you've lost your starter when you didn't have to. So that's always kind of hanging there, and maybe that will be Henry Burris' last series.
But answered a lot of questions tonight, though, hasn't he?
Yeah, that BC game's in the rearview mirror.
Burke Dales, Leroy Van, and Van up to the 40-yard line. Time for a game story. It's brought to you by Mr. Lube.
Kenyon Rambo, 100-yard catch, his longest of his career, the longest throw and catch for Henry Burris in his career, and that got things going. Calvillo and Burris with 7 touchdown passes combined, but Henry Burris, every time Calvillo was getting close, every time that offense was starting to scratch back in it, it seemed like Henry Burris found Romby Bryant, who had another 100-yard game.
Well, it looks like they've broken the tie. The teams had split their last 10, and then since 2005, Henry Burris and Anthony Calvillo had identical 17 touchdown, 7 interception records against each other. Over the middle, there's another catch for Ben Cahoon. That's 3.
He needed 6 to tie and 7 to go past Terry Vaughn. And there is time. As all of a sudden, Adrian McPherson is kind of locking in there to Ben Cahoon.
Three away. Second about a yard and a half here. Coburn got the first and got a lot more. Avon Coburn was one of his best runs. An Alouette first down with under 4 minutes to go, and they'll mark him out at the Calgary 41. 21-yard pickup.
You know, Chris Jones, that's going to drive him nuts. I mean, this game is in hand, but the defensive coordinator takes pride in being first in so many categories and have his defense be so dominant. He doesn't care where it is in the game or what the score is. He doesn't want plays like that happening against. Look at his face.
Yeah. Remember those 2 late touchdowns that BC scored? Game well in hand, but the Lions scored twice late to Empire. And that didn't sit well for a whole week. End around for Bratton, and Malik Jackson will push him out at the 38-yard line. That's 3 for Brian Bratton. And that might make it Ben Cahoon time again. with Montreal looking at 2nd and 7.
Ben Cahoon coming in had 13,124 career yards, 11,751 of them from Anthony Calvillo, 90%. And here he is, poised to become the all-time leader, and Calvillo's not in the game.
2nd and 7. There's a completion and a first down. Jamel Richardson the catch. And a hard man to bring down. Finally stopped at the Calgary 20.
That's been another side story here that's been fun to watch tonight, that Chris Jones decided to put Brandon Browner out there on Jamel Richardson. That's been a fun matchup.
They give the 3-minute warning here with Calgary in charge. Wardrobe malfunction. 1st and 10, Adrian McPherson. And the Alouettes driving. And looking into the end zone for S.J. Green. And that on the ricochet, picked off by Milton Collins. Off Dwight Anderson, and Milton Collins heads back the other way. And a good tackle made by Avon Coburn. And now we got a scrap at midfield, and flags are flying everywhere.
Chris Jones trying to get all his defenders out and to the sideline. S.J. Green, a couple of times now, both Anthony Calvillo, in this case Adrian McPherson, has tried to go deep to him. And he's had his issues with those deep balls. They've been bouncing all over the place. Wes Lysak involved. There's Chris Jones trying to round up his group. But let's take a look at the end of the play, because McPherson puts a little air under this. Nice tight spiral coming down into your living room, and S.J. Green times his jump well, but just kind of whiffs on it, bounces off the shoulder pad of Dwight Anderson, and a one-hander by Collins takes it right out. He didn't even hesitate. And right at the end of that is when the fisticuffs began.
And Wes Lysak gets to the hot water first tonight. 3rd interception of the year by Milt Collins.
And you know when the officials are counting fingers? Okay, one guy got this, the other guy got that one, we got this one, we got that one, we got Lysak, we got that guy, okay, there's 4, and we got that one.
And we have these two teams Thanksgiving Monday
next week
in Montreal. Let's see what happened.
Oh, Wes Lysak hit. Okay, he goes after S.J. Green on the ground.
Now, was S.J. Green, he hit Brandon Browner because that looked like retaliation.
Yeah, and that's what Lysak was saying. He went up and hit S.J. Green after he saw his teammate in Brandon Browner, and he comes to his aid. Browner will appreciate that, so will the team. Might cost Wes Lysak a little money. But like Kenny Chesney says in his new song, The Boys of Fall, you mess with one man, you get us all.
Well done.
You know, every now and then I got to quote a country song.
Didn't know it was a football song.
Oh, yeah. Boys of Fall, #1 song. It's a new hit by Kenny Chesney.
Well, we may have done the bookkeeping. And Ramon Guzman trying to get on the good side of Bud Steen, hoping his number's not there. What do you got, Bud?
Several fouls on the last play. Major foul, Montreal, number 19 and number 18. Major foul, Calgary, number 27. And rough play disqualification, Calgary, number 31. The net result on these fouls is a 10-yard penalty against Calgary from the point that the ball went dead on the play, and it's first down Calgary.
So the receivers, S.J. Green and Jamel Richardson called. Brandon Browner, who has been up against Jamel Richardson most of the night.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, if it was Jamel Richardson that went after Browner, and then when Wes Lysak saw that, he just hit the first opposite colored jersey, and that happened to be S.J. Green on the ground.
Mark Trestman just happy. The last time his team was in a bit of a skirmish, they were 45 yards net penalized on the play, so he'll take this, and Drew Tate will take over at quarterback. Double tight end formation, and Joffrey Reynolds inside. Really has not been a showcase for the running backs tonight, and Drew Tate gets to finish up. And he has been impressive every time he has been in this year for Calgary.
Well, he's just, he is the next wave. And you think about games tomorrow, Dalton Bell gets a chance in Toronto with Khalil Lemon out. Drew Tate out of Iowa, a guy that Dave Dickinson talks very highly about, always competitive on the football field, has not thrown an interception in his limited time playing this year.
Joffrey Reynolds stopped after another short gain. Reynolds with that pickup up to 46 yards on 8 carries tonight. So a quiet night for the running back. He didn't have to make any noise because Henry Burris and the receivers were handling that.
Yeah, and that's what happened. Henry Burris came in and he wanted to make a statement tonight, and he did that. He, 412 yards, 4 touchdowns. Not a touchdown last week against the Lions.
And no interceptions tonight.
And he had 2 last week.
Tim Maypray on the return. Another flag. It's an area that Montreal has not been as explosive in this year as we've seen in the past. The likes of Larry Taylor and Ezra Landry.
Illegal block. Montreal, number 40. It's a 10-yard penalty. It's first down.
Diamond Ferry, so the Alouettes will be well above their season average in penalty yards in this game.
Yeah, and that's been an issue for this team tonight as well. I mean, and it's been a bit of an issue all year that they've been able to overcome is these penalties. So, down the stretch when every play becomes that much more important, every quarter, every series, that's one thing that I'm sure Mark Trestman will address throughout the week and as they continue, that they've got to clean up this area in the penalty department.
14 for 150 on the night. Coburn mentioned Reynolds had been quiet, and Avon Coburn as well, although he had a 21-yarder on the last Montreal series, up to 59 in the game.
Mentioned that Adrian McPherson was 1-0 as a starter. The 2 games that Anthony Calvillo missed, Chris Leak started in 1. That was against the Lions. The Montreal Alouettes lost that game. Adrian McPherson played against Hamilton. He had 121 yards rushing in that game.
Second highest in Alouette history.
Yeah, Joe Barnes. Yeah, Joe Barnes was the highest back in '77.
Which was before McPherson was born. Trouble here, and Charleston Hughes is going to wrestle him down for his 2nd sack of the night. So Hughes up to 6 sacks on the season.
Yeah, it was about September last year where Hughes came back from his tryout with the Philadelphia Eagles, and took him a while to get back in the swing of things, but he certainly has. The sack versus BC last week. He's been in that backfield a couple of times here tonight.
General Manager Jim Pop will be working the phones in all likelihood with the injury to Damon Duval. There's the boot by Shea Emery, who's done a decent job for the most part tonight. Dion Murphy dropped at the 41. And it's time for tonight's TSN Turning Point.
Third quarter was a 13-point game, and Nick Lewis, who led the league coming in and still does in yards after the catch, bulldozes Mark Estelle, the corner, and that's some impressive yak yards for Nick Lewis. That made it a 20-point game again, and the Calgary Stampeders didn't look back.
That's yards after collision tonight. The TSN Turning Point brought to you by Wendy's Baconator, the official hamburger of the CFL. Drew Tate pitches, and here's Reynolds looking for some room, and Anwar Stewart there.
Tate tosses.
Ball popped loose. His play was whistled dead. So they'll meet again next week. Interesting that as Mark Trestman and John Hufnagel has dueled
Yeah, they'll meet again next week, and that's why interesting plays like this. This was the last punt. Watch Brandon Browner here. He's coming down on Chip Cox, and he wants his returner to come to that side, and he called levels him. Yeah.
Wanted to say, since these two coaches started dueling, each has swept the other in consecutive years. Will Calgary be able to sweep this season?
And this is going to continue. They're going to have to try and get back into the huddle. And
Robbie Bryant and Leroy Van.
Big night for Robbie Bryant. A couple games with 2 touchdowns.
Stamps back-to-back against Montreal and then into Saskatchewan. And John Hufnagel mentioned they'd find a whole lot more about their team in the next 3 weeks. He likes what he found out tonight, I'm sure.
Oh, and it puts the pressure on Saskatchewan. Play the Toronto Argonauts. They want to try and keep pace, so that October 17th matchup at Mosaic is important.
Timeout called Calgary.
So they run the clock down, call the timeout to avoid the delay of game. 21 seconds remaining. Sports Center coming right up following our telecast. Dales launches another to Mapre from his 14. With another flag and 11 seconds on the clock. So the Alouettes give up 40 in a win in Winnipeg last week and 46 tonight.
Illegal block, Montreal. Number 39, it's 10-yard penalty, first down.
Joe Brown called this time.
We'll do it all again in a week.
End of a 3-game win streak for Anthony Calvillo and company. And remarkably, John Hufnagel avoids his first career 3-game losing streak. Coburn with Juwan Simpson tossing him down, and one more play, and this one's official.
Yeah, he's had two situations in his head coaching career here in Calgary where he lost 2 in a row and then won the next one, then lost 1 and tied 1 and won the next one. So avoids that 3-game losing streak. Very important, because that starts to snowball in your hurry, and that's when second guessing starts to creep into it. Not an issue now for the Calgary Stampeders.
Zeros on the clock. Coburn, last run of the night.
There you go.
Brought down, and this game is in the books. So the Stampeders do get a huge bounce back after last week's loss on home turf against the BC Lions. In 08, John Hufnagel's Stamps swept the Alouettes and won the Cup last year. Montreal swept and won the Cup. We'll see if Calgary can sweep in 2010 when they meet again on Thanksgiving Monday in Montreal. Henry Burris, 4 touchdown passes and a 46-21 win. First team to 10 wins on the year. The Calgary Stampeders. That's the story from McMahon. SportsCenter is now.